This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
Well, I don't know. Normally, I'm doing great.
Sure.
But I've been, I will say, persecuted on the other show that I do in the Garage Logic podcast these past couple of days. And you got so fired up.
I was pissed.
You texted me last night to talk about this thing that I brought up. And here, okay, I'm going to explain to you exactly what happened to the listener that may or may not know what happened on Garage Logic. Mm-hmm. So every day I get up. I just get up when my kids get up, right? All right, let's get up. Let's do some stuff. And then I start scouring the earth for topics and subject matters. And, okay, now we got to go shoot free throws with the boys in the driveway. Okay, now we got to come back in. Now Dad's got to do some more work. Yep. Stuff like that, right? That's my typical morning. And so I saw this story. I think I actually saw it on Sunday and went, oh, my God, we have got to discuss this on Garage Logic. Mm-hmm. And so I brought this to Joe's attention. And Joe said, I don't get it. What's the big deal? Off the air.
Sure.
And I said, Joe, think about this logically from a GL perspective. And he said, all right, let's have this back and forth on the air because this is good. This is good. Mm-hmm. So we get on the air and we discussed it. And I was stunned that it basically felt like I was on an island. Well, number one, I'm on an island because Joe disagreed with me. Kenny was kind of on the fence about coming my way or not. John's a flaming lefty, so of course he wasn't going to come my way. And Rookie wasn't paying attention to what was going on. Okay, so that was basically...
So tell me the story. What was the story?
So in Nova Scotia, we have instituted a fine. And in fact, I'm going to play a clip from the Premier of Nova Scotia. His name is Tim Houston. Mm-hmm. All right. And he issued the following. In fact, I'm going to play his clip first and then read a follow-up story because this just in... Canada has had, I keep saying California sometimes, so I'm meaning Canada. Mm-hmm. Canada's had some problems with forest fires. Mm-hmm. We felt it here with air quality in Minnesota. Sure. It's become a massive problem. And fires happen this time of the year, so we try to mitigate the damage and the destruction and hopefully try to prevent any types of loss of life and property damage and things like that. And I know sometimes it can be a really daunting task. But on Sunday... No, actually, when was August 7th? That was Friday. On Friday, the Nova Scotia government is now banning people from hiking, fishing, or even camping in the woods until October 15th because of fire concerns.
Okay.
This ban even extends to private property. No hiking on your land.
Property. Okay.
And they'll find...
Okay, well, I'm with you on that. Like, I don't want... So you were for that. You don't want people to go hiking because you're like, hey, we don't want fire. So I kind of get that.
Okay, so here's your guy, Tim Houston.
Okay.
Effective 4 p.m. today, we're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. We are restricting travel and activities that really aren't necessary for most of us. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed, but only in official campgrounds. The fine for violating any of these bans is the same as the fine for the ban on burning, $25,000. And if you're a smoker, for God's sakes, be mindful of where you're butting your butt out. If you don't, and you cause a fire, we will hold you accountable. So what does this mean if you have a home or cottage surrounded by a wooded area? We strongly encourage you to stay out of those woods, regardless of where they are. Please don't do anything that could unnecessarily put you, your family, or your neighbors at risk. This situation sucks. Summer is one of the best times in Nova Scotia, and we all look forward to getting outdoors and enjoying our scenic beauty that surrounds us. I get that, and I'm right there with you as Nova Scotians. But you can still go to the beach. In fact, that's a great place to be on these hot, dry days. Just no bonfires. If there's a short trail to get from point A to point B, like from the parking to the beach or to the lake to fish, that's fine. But that's it. No heading into the woods to spend time there. I know it's inconvenient. I know it's the height of summer vacation and people want to do all the activities that we so much enjoy in our great outdoors. We have a beautiful province. I know everybody wants to enjoy it, but we have to stay out of the woods. It's a small price to pay right now to avoid the kind of devastation that we saw from the wildfires in 2023. Nobody wants to go back.
$25,000 for walking into your own woods.
Mm-hmm.
Are you shitting me?
I'm not. In fact, Michael, I'm going to get you going even more. So this, like I said, this started last Friday or Saturday, I believe. And this was issued last week. And the problem that I had with it is, of course, nobody wants there to be a forest fire.
Of course not.
And of course, most forest fires are created because of man, because of human not taking care,
Or lightning.
or lightning in some cases. But oftentimes it's either intentionally set or it's an accidental. Oh, you dummy! You forgot to put out your campfire, or you dumped your grill coals into the garbage can, or whatever the case might be. So I get all of that, and I get a significant fine for intentionally starting a fire.
You're
I get
anti-forest
all of that.
fire.
I am 100% anti-forest fire. But you're the government. And the reason I got so alarmed by this is because this is 100% out of the climate lockdown playbook. And I told this to Joe and the crew yesterday and again today, and you haven't heard today's episode yet because I was posting it when you walked in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how this crap starts.
This is how that
It
crap
starts in a very small vacuum, and then other people catch wind of this and go, well, wait a minute. Did you see what they did? No, they got a climate lockdown. We should do that.
Can I ask you something? Did you invent the term climate lockdown?
Because
you said that on the show the other day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you read it somewhere or you're just taking it.
I'm not taking credit for that.
I'm going to give you credit for it because I don't care. That is the exact thing. And what I found absolutely perplexing from the show the other day on GL is no one agreed with you. And you are 100% right. You know why I know you're 100% right? Because those a-holes that control the billboards over our highways that say, bad air quality
alert.
Consider less trips. That is one step away from saying, we've considered the less trip for you. You don't get to go. And you are on climate lockdown. You are 100% right, Reavers.
And here's why it should alarm everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we went through this 5 years ago with COVID.
We did it. They did it to us.
This already happened to us.
Yep.
Don't think that this won't happen again because the government is so out of control. And I get it. It's Canada. But that doesn't matter. Everybody, all of these government entities operates the same way. And if you think for a second that this won't be implemented in, California, they got a lot of fires out there. This is 100% coming to California.
You think it's going to take California? Those signs on the highway are telling us we shouldn't be traveling.
Oh, you got to reduce trips. It's summer.
They're one step away from saying to us, it's not optional. You're not taking the trip. The air quality is too low. The thing that not pissed me off. Joe said, I could see this happening in 10 years. He was sliding to your side, right?
Yep.
He was sliding to your side as you were giving him more rationale and more reasoning for it. And then I thought, 10 years, Joe. They're not going to let a good problem like this go to waste. If they can control us, they're 100% going to do it. And if they have to do it with a climate lockdown, they 100% will.
Remember when it was around St. Patrick's Day, and I only remember that because I was still bartending up until everything got shut down. And I remember that weekend, my good buddy Mike, that I bartended with, we basically knew, well, we kind of saw the writing on the wall. He's a public school teacher. I'm a podcast dumbass. And we kind of knew that, well, this is going to be our last hurrah. So it's
let's go.
Well, it's double shots and Coke for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Including if you're a really smoking hot chick, you're going to get even a bigger drink.
Sure.
Anyway, my point being, we all saw it kind of coming. And I remember when I had to come here for work every day. Unfortunately, I did not have the ability to work from home. Joe did. Kenny and Johnny eventually did and haven't come back since. and Rookie was only able to come in a couple of days a week just because of employment status and whatnot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I had to have a government issued piece of paper that I had to bring with me in my car in the event that I was stopped
And pulled over.
and not for speeding,
Nope.
not for a traffic violation, for them saying, why are you on the road? Well, I have to go to work or I'm coming home from work. And they say, okay. In fact, it didn't. I didn't get stopped, but I was I had stopped for something, and there was a. I'm not going to say which city I was in, but you can take a guess. And I had said, well, I'm just leaving work. I needed to stop to get gas and a couple of things. Well, do you have a paper with you? I said yes. They didn't ask to see it, but I'm just thinking, ladies and gentlemen,
This is it.
this is what this is exactly what this is what we call the trial balloon. Let's see what happens here.
Never let a good tragedy go to waste. Is that what we're saying?
So I want to take you to a story that I found in the Oregon Life. It's a publication out of the state of Oregon. Is it Oregon or Oregon?
You pick.
Okay. For the first time in recent memory, Nova Scotia has closed hiking trails, backcountry routes, and all forest access across the province, and one Canadian Air Force veteran just found out exactly how serious the government is about enforcing it. Jeff Evely, a retired Master Warrant Officer with 20 years of service, shared a now viral video showing himself deliberately stepping into the woods in Coxheath, Nova Scotia, despite a province-wide stay out of the woods order. Moments later, conservation officers handed him a ticket for $28,872,
Wow.
the maximum fine under the new rules. And there's the video here.
I think he just literally steps into the woods and steps out.
The sweeping ban took effect on, August 5th. So it's been in effect for a week now and will remain in place until at least October 15th or until significant rain reduces the extreme wildfire risk. It applies to both Crown land and national parks, shutting down popular destinations like this national park and that national trail.
And your own private land.
Nova Scotia is in the middle of severe drought conditions with weeks of hot, dry weather, leaving forests under dry. Here's the problem. This is like I said, this is the trial balloon that's being floated. Sure. This is a guy who was walking on his own land.
Let me ask you a couple questions because maybe I don't understand something. Is $25,000 Canadian the equivalent of $45 US?
In fact, no. I think what it is, because this is different. Because what is the currency in Canada?
Pounds.
Okay, is that?
I don't know what it is.
What do you know what because this says 28,000. Hold on, CAD.
Canadian dollars.
So Canadian dollar.
Yeah.
So it's 28,000 Canadian dollars, meaning 25,000 US dollars.
Okay. So here's my problem with that, Reavers. What you want to do is you want a normal civilized society has punishments commensurate with the crime. So if I walk outside and my dog runs into the woods and I run into the woods to follow my dog to get my dog out, right? I would, and they caught me and they had to fine me. I would say, oh, I don't like that fine. I was going to get my dog. I'll pay the $45. What they're doing is the equivalent of me going into a grocery store, stealing a loaf of bread, and them cutting off my hands.
Yeah.
It's not commensurate. You don't do that in civilized society. I don't give a shit if every forest burns down. You don't do that to people. You don't say, we're going to be so incredibly punitive that it is way out of the logical norm of walking into the woods. I don't want forest fires.
No,
They don't
nobody
want
does.
No one wants forest fires.
Except for
Anybody-
arsonists
yeah, and those people would,
who were setting them on the West Coast last year.
the people that are not going to set fires should not get a $25,000 fine. I find this unbelievable. I did look up a couple of stats, right? I'm so pissed at Canada. I'm so pissed. My whole summer has been shrouded in clouds, right? And it's not because some guy walked into the woods. That's not what we're talking about. Did you know in 2023, the Canadian wildfires released an estimated 3.28 billion tons of carbon dioxide?
Really?
3.28. And here's where it is. We've always heard one industry is the biggest polluter, right? There's one industry that is. Do you remember what that industry is?
No.
Airplanes.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
That's what this was. I
Oh,
was
I'm
giving
sorry.
you the hint. So airplanes in 2022 emitted roughly 826 tons. Canadian wildfires emitted 3.28 billion tons. Billion. So all the people that are bitching about getting 15 miles a gallon instead of 12, or don't take that flight, take a sailboat, all those people are bitching. They should be screaming screaming at Canada to take care of their woods. They should, you know what? I'm going to go on record right now. They should cut those woods down. They don't deserve them. They should cut them down, get the wood nice and dried out so we can make good wood furniture out of it and not allow them to ever have woods again because they're not responsible enough and they're not good to their citizens by daring to charge them $25,000 for walking into the woods. How dare they?
Man, you're worked up. Let's
I'm
stay with
pissed.
this.
I don't even want him to be America's hat anymore.
He's worked up. And you know what? If you're looking to pay that $25,000 fine, how about my friends at North American Banking Company?
They'll help you with a loan.
They will, absolutely. And you know what? They have 6 fantastic Twin Cities locations to serve you, whether it's Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. They do offer all of the services as the other big national banks. Whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, pay a hefty fine from the Canadian government, or get that new car that you've been thinking about, my friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other big national banks, but the key difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank, and they are also locally owned and operated, and that means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state, so this helps you business owners solve problems quickly and expand your business with confidence. They deal with numbers every single day, but you are never going to be one of them. So check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender. The Weekly Scramble. We will be right back. Ready? Because I'm staying with us.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. You know, as you were going on your long-winded diatribe there at the end before, the thought occurred to me. I was reading this story from the Oregon, whatever the hell it was. You know, a very precious part of the country. And do you know why I stopped reading the story?
Why?
Because whoever constructed this piece was talking about the dangers of forest fires, the dangers of Mother Earth being harmed by forest fires. Here's what really terrifies me. Not only were the 4 idiots I work with on the GL podcast not alarmed by this, but the fact that there are so many people that roam amongst us, so many of the people that love Mother Earth to the degree that they do, they're completely fine with this. And maybe they obviously don't live in Canada. They're not going to go hiking in the woods and that. But okay, that's fine now. And you're okay with this climate lockdown now because it doesn't affect you. What happens when it does?
Sure.
Let's say you own, well, you don't even own. Let's say you and your girlfriend with her nose ring and pink hair are renting a 1-bedroom apartment in Portland, right?
You wouldn't say girlfriend, you'd say you're they, them.
You're they, them with her nose ring and her,
That was mean of me. I don't
which
know.
is the bull ring, which is such a bad look. Girls, don't do that. That looks so awful. And her pink hair or her blue hair or whatever. And you're renting your 1-bedroom or studio apartment in Portland. And all of a sudden, the Oregon state government says, you know what? There's a threat of fires. We got to have a climate lockdown, so everyone's got to stay inside. First of all, you're Canada. You're freaking Canada. It's horrendous to live there 9 months out of the year because of weather. It's finally nice out, and they, nope, got to stay inside, shut her down, go play video games, don't do anything.
To be fair, let me say something.
Okay.
I think Canada sometimes are logical people. I think they're like Minnesota people. I really do. And I think if the government said in Canada, hey, we have to do something about these fires. Please, please, please stay out of the forests. We're not going to penalize you if you do. We're not going to chase you down. We're not going to threaten you. We're not going to fine you $25,000. We're just asking because we can't get control of this.
Sure.
Please help us. Here's how you can help us, and give out the explanation. I think you'd get the exact same result. Literally the exact same result if you spoke to people like human beings and said, please do not start. I mean, of course, no fires, right? You're not going to have fires, but please just use logic. Do not go into the forest if you can avoid it.
Logic is a very good word that you use there, because I remember when everybody, and I'm gonna continue to compare COVID, even though people kind of rip me for doing so, and it's because when COVID struck in 2020, there was fear. There was the unknown. None of us had ever dealt with anything like this before in our lifetimes, right? And so there was a lot of questions. I have asthma, so yeah, I don't like forest fires. The air quality sucks.
You don't like
I have
COVID.
a hard time breathing at night. I didn't want to get COVID. I didn't know what it was going to do to me. The point being, once you started to realize, well, wait a minute, this isn't really that big of a threat to, 90% of the population. Yes, some people are amongst us that have compromised, whether it's immune systems or breathing capacities and things like that. I get it. I totally get it. If you want to stay locked in your house, that's fine. That's your choice. The problem that I had, and it was, I would say, come around like June. So we'd had about 2 months of being locked down, which, by the way, we were only told 2 weeks to stop the spread. That's the initial rallying cry.
No one knew, though. To be fair, no one knew.
But I'm saying that's what it started with.
Yep.
It started with 2 weeks to stop the spread, which turned into everybody worked at home for the next 6 months. Point being that when that happened, I remember thinking, well, I'm fine. I haven't gotten sick yet. And maybe I've already had it. And now I'm okay because my body knows how to fight it off. And I'll never forget this. I was leaving here. And I had to stop to get a couple of things because at that time we had 2 very young boys and I had to stop to pick up a couple of things and I didn't have a mask.
Oh, yeah.
And I stopped at a first ring suburb supermarket and I didn't have a mask and I walked in, they'll have the opening door, the sliding door, and then the secondary set of sliding doors. And I walked in and there was a guard there, a security guard. It's like, sir, and I go, I know, do you have any for sale? He said, we've already run out. You've got to go back to your car. And I thought, I just need like 3 things. And as I walked, and I said, fine, I'll just go take my business elsewhere, whatever. And as I walked out, there were 2 families walking into the store, like a family of 4 and a family of 5, all masked up, everything. And all of them shrieked as if like I was some leper.
Maybe they just knew you were the pervert you were.
Well, but my point was like,
why are you staring at my wife?
Just the way we decided to interact because of why? Because of what the government told us to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I have such a freaking problem with this. And again, I told Joe this multiple times, both yesterday and today. I said, if you freaking think that this isn't coming to a place near us in the near you're kidding yourself.
It could be in Minnesota this week.
Because of air quality.
Because of air quality. I 100% think it could be in Minnesota this week. I want to figure out how many carbon offsets Canada owes the world. Right? If you just drop $3.6 billion worth of 3.6 billion tons of emissions, and that's more than the whole aviation industry times 7, pay for it. What are you going to do to clean up the environment, Canada? You know what? That's one nice thing about certain sides of the political aisle. They sometimes have to eat it. And this is one where you should make them eat it. Say, hey, you know what? You need to pay the rest of the world money for this carbon offset.
Do you know the other thing that strikes me, and I've listened to Tim Houston and his little speech a number of times, and Joe made a comment, I think it was yesterday or it might have been today, I can't remember, but basically how, well, we have to make sure that we handle this. And I thought, this is the problem. The problem is we continue to let the government try to control the masses because there's too many people that are stupid, that don't know how to function as a normal member of society, that don't think, oh, I could just throw out my burning trash and everything will be fine. Or you're trying to prevent the people that are intentionally trying to set fires, and that's a completely different story in the name of protecting the climate. But that's the problem that I also have is that's not the government's freaking job to protect the dummies.
Sure.
Your job is to serve the public. That is your job.
Yep.
Your job is not to say, well, we got too many idiots roaming amongst us, and now we got to make rules for everybody. That's not your job.
That's not the job.
That's not I don't need the state of Minnesota doing that and taking 60% of my money every year in an order of equity and wealth. No, I don't need that.
Sure.
And trust me, I've been thinking a lot about it lately. But that's the problem that I have is that's how government has decided to operate, is they're trying to protect the weak, feeble, the weak-minded and the feeble. Well, that's not my fault.
No.
That person's an idiot.
No, it's not your fault.
Now I'm worked up.
But what if we're the weak and feeble? What if it's us?
Well,
this is the first time, Reavers, I really respect Joe Souchere.
Sure.
Obviously you do. He's a very deep thinker.
Oh, of course.
Right? And I just didn't get that he didn't get it. I'm like, this is a pure straight. This isn't a link of 7 different things coming together. There's no board with a string going to 7 different things. This is Canada's charging people $25,000 if you walk into the woods. Minnesota's going to charge you $300 if you leave your house because the smoke is too thick. I mean, it is going to be, we are weeks away from this happening. In fact, I hasten to say, us talking about it could be making it happen in Minnesota, because someone might be listening saying, That's not a bad idea. We really do need to reduce trips.
Well, keep in mind, Nova Scotia is damn near an island.
Okay.
And that's the thing that bothers me about this is that most of it, yes, they are experiencing droughts that we haven't seen in, I get.
Is that true?
Yes. We looked up some of the stats earlier today. But keep in mind, they're the only ones doing this out of the entire country. They're the only ones.
Do you believe stats?
For the most part.
You know what? I kind of totally did up until I thought about it for 2 seconds yesterday. Joe was talking about stats of this rain that happened in Milwaukee.
Yep.
Right? And how it was just this huge rain. And I thought, in days past, in 1961, the person who kept that stat didn't do what, Reavers? The person who kept, I don't know if you're going to get this, but I'll try to do it.
The sense when?
What didn't the person in 1961, when they said, hey, it was 5.1 inches, what didn't they get? They didn't get paid if it was more or less.
Oh.
They just got paid to read the damn number.
To do the stat, or to collect data.
The stat guys say, if this is the highest rain we've ever had, I can get on the news to go get paid to tell people that we've never had a rain like this.
Historic,
And
yeah.
When money is involved in anything, it corrupts. Period. Remember when they were talking about that hockey stick, and I do and don't believe in climate change. I don't know what the answer is, right? Someone will say, well, it's obvious. I'm like, well, is it? Is it obvious? Right. And then I read stories about, remember that hockey stick where it said the earth is warming and now it just turned as a hockey stick. Like we were going along, getting a little warmer and then boom, it just started elevating. And I didn't know that was all bullshit. And we've used that. That whole thing's been used.
Well, that's been Joe's mantra is he's not denying the climate's changing, but what he puts up resistance against is the fact that the climate has always changed and it always will change.
Totally get that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I don't know enough about it if it truly is, but when they bring out that hockey stick graph and then you find out that it was totally fraudulent, that the data was totally fraudulent, and then you think, well, and then the woman who made that data said you can't bake cherry pie without picking some cherries, meaning we couldn't make it look like that unless we picked some data that we wanted it to make it look like that.
Sure.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
So you're basically telling me you're lying.
You're telling us you're lying, and the only reason you do that, the only reason you do it is because you get paid to show it. If you got paid to show that it was going the other way, the thing would have pointed the other direction. It would have gone down instead of up because people want to eat and they want that $900,000 grant for their school. They want that stuff. So it's just like homelessness. The more profit you put into homelessness, would you know what you're going to get more of? Homelessness. Just like chickens. Like we want chickens wouldn't even exist if we didn't eat them, right?
Yes.
But since we eat them and there's profit in chickens, we get more chickens.
Yes.
My God, I'm going to lose my voice if I don't stop yelling.
That's okay. Let's talk about We Are Nuts and WeAreNutsMN.com, a great new addition to both the Weekly Scramble podcast and, of course, the Garage Logic podcast. It's a wonderful family-owned operation making great handcrafted snacks right here in Northeast Minneapolis. And here's the thing. You can go into any of your Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores locations, Max Hardware locations, Lunds and Byerly's, Kowalski's carries them, and they're fantastic snacks. In fact, I was gifted an entire thing of jumbo cashews last Thursday from the fam, from Michael, and they're gone. Already. In fact, I don't even think they made it to Sunday.
Sure.
But that's the beauty of it, right? So go online. Go online if you want to right now. If you're listening to this and saying, well, I can't get to Fratelloni's. I can't get to Max. Well, order it online, at WeAreNutsMN.com. They've got a wonderful 4-pack sampler pack that's available online as well, which includes the maple bourbon toffee almonds, which are absolutely spectacular. But I've been running into people that have been raving about the We Are Nuts edition to the podcast, and it's been fantastic. So once again, WeAreNutsMN.com. Place your order and let them know that you heard about them on the Weekly Scramble podcast. Well, we've gotten everybody all wound up, so why don't we continue with that theme, shall we?
Oh, really? What are we going to do?
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about President Donald Trump.
That'll do it.
He said yesterday that he's taking over Washington's police department and activating 800 members of the National Guard in the hopes of reducing crime, even as city officials, this is according to the Associated Press, by the way, even as city officials stressed crime is already falling in the nation's capital. The president, flanked by his attorney general, his defense secretary, and the FBI director, said that he was declaring a public safety emergency and his administration would be removing homeless encampments. We're going to take our capital back, Trump declared, adding he'd also be getting rid of the slums. For Trump, the effort to take over public safety in Washington reflects an escalation of his, this is according to the Associated Press, his aggressive approach to law enforcement. The District of Columbia's status as a congressionally established federal district gives him a unique opportunity to push his tough-on-crime agenda, though he has not proposed solutions to the root causes of homelessness or crime, which is complete BS because he has. Attorney General Pam Bondi will assume responsibility for Washington's Metropolitan Police Department, Trump said, as he also railed against potholes and graffiti in the city and called them embarrassing. The president did not provide a timeline for the control of the police department, but he's limited to 30 days under statute unless he gets approval from Congress, which he probably won't get additional Congress, but approval from Congress, I should say. Okay, here's the issue I have with that story. I love this quote in the Associated Press story, and it's a quote echoed by many people, including certain members of the GL podcast that may or may not do news. Oh, I love this line right here. Okay. He said he'd taken over the Washington Police Department in hopes of reducing crime. This is the home run quote. Even as city officials stressed crime is already falling in the nation's capital. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Do you know what happened, about a month ago, less than a month ago or so? It was around like July 18th, I think.
What was it?
This is from the NBC affiliate in Washington, D.C., Michael. A D.C. police commander is under investigation for allegedly making changes to crime statistics in his district. The Metropolitan Police Department confirmed Michael Pulliam was placed on paid administrative leave in mid-May. That happened just a week after Pulliam filed an equal employment opportunity complaint against an assistant chief, and the police union accused the department of deliberately falsifying crime data, according to 3 law enforcement sources familiar with the complaint. The union claims that police supervisors in the department manipulate crime data to make it appear violent crime has fallen considerably compared to last year. Pulliam, the former commander of the 3rd District that patrols Adams, Morgan, and Columbia Heights, was placed on leave with pay and told he was under investigation for questionable changes to crime data. 5 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation told News 4 NBC of Washington. See, that's the problem that I have, because Joe was very much up in arms. And I get, and there were many emailers and listeners that were as well, like I get federalizing law enforcement, but here's the problem. When you have an obvious problem, which is crime in this country, but most notably D.C., there was these on the street people on social media saying, "Hey, are you opposed to Trump?" And they're like, "Hell no!
Hell no.
He's cleaning up the streets.
Yeah.
We've got a problem
we
here
got
in
a huge
D.C.
problem.
And someone's finally doing something about it." And that's the thing I always say. Do I agree with 100% of President Trump's doings? Of course not. But here's the thing I always say. What if it works?
Yeah.
What if
it's going to work? It's not a question of what if it works. We've had safe towns before, and you know how we do it? We police people.
Right.
We don't let people live in tents out in the grass. We just don't do it. And you know why it works, Reavers? I'll tell you why. Remember when Xi Jinping came to San Francisco?
Yes. Perfect.
And all of a sudden San Francisco looked clean, and Gavin Newsom said, "We didn't want to be embarrassed having a foreign leader come here. So our city that looks like shit normally, we wanted it to clean up."
Right.
So they cleaned it up for 2 weeks. So we can do it. When Gavin Newsom, a know-nothing doofus, can do it,
Scum of the
you
earth.
don't think Trump, with the constitutional right, arguably he has the constitutional right to take over. When he chooses, he can take over this action. So he's not breaking any laws per se, right? When he has the constitutional, you don't think he's going to clean up Washington, D.C. in 1 week? If Gavin fricking Newsom could do it in a dump like San Francisco,
Right.
Trump can do it in 1 week.
And that's the problem that I have is, there are solutions to these problems, but then when people try to enact those solutions, case in point, what happened here a couple of weeks ago when it was discovered that, hey, you've got illegal aliens here that are operating this, and everyone in town went nuts. The protests lined the street, and they didn't realize these are dangerous people that are getting removed from the streets.
It's a drug bust.
But now who are you mad at?
Yeah.
You're mad at ICE. You're mad at the Minneapolis Police Department. You're mad at then what do you want? If you want to live in a third world country, then go live in a third world country.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a third world country.
No, this is going to be an incredible test. Meaning, if he cleans up, and I believe he totally will clean up D.C., then other cities are going to have to look and say, why are we accepting less than perfect or less than good if we could have it clean. Just like, remember when Joseph Robinette Biden said, I can't close the border. They haven't changed the legislation. The Republicans won't vote for the legislation for me to close the border. And then all of a sudden, President Trump comes in January 17th or whatever it was, and 2 days later, the border crossings are over. He didn't have to have new legislation. He had to have a new president. Well, what happens if D.C. gets clean and D.C. gets safe, and then cities all across the United States, like L.A. and San Francisco and other cities that are just being chewed apart by crime, Baltimore and other places, when they say, oh, we don't have to live like this? Trump did it in Washington, D.C. in 3 weeks. Why don't we try it here? Right. Why don't we do it in New York? Why don't we try it? And it will be this big one side versus the other side. And someone's going to have to say, I hate what Trump did. And someone's going to look at them and say, oh, did you want the crime? Did you want the crime? Or would you rather have safe subways, safe streets? What I do love the fact that the genesis of all this argument started with a guy named Big Balls. Right? That a 19-year-old kid gets beat up by 10, 15-year-olds, right? Mm-hmm. And Trump gets so pissed, like, I know that kid. He's part of Doge. He's one of the brightest minds we have, right? That's why Elon brought him onto the Doge task force. And his nickname is Big Balls, which I love that the press has to read the word Big Balls. I'm going to keep saying it. And that was the impetus that Trump said, we're done. We're done. We're not going to have Washington, D.C. look like a toilet anymore. We're just not going to do it.
We're the nation's capital.
We're the nation's capital. We're not going to let people just live in tents, not only for our good, but for their good too. People shouldn't be living in tents on the streets of Washington, D.C.
That's what, again, I keep coming back to this idea that why are people just okay with this?
Yeah.
What happened to us? And that's why, when you drive by a homeless encampment, and of course, everyone has empathy. But that's a decision that person made. And it most likely, in most cases, I should say, it's because of rampant drug use.
Yes.
That's why that person is forced to live that way.
Drug use, yeah.
Mental illness and drug use are the two most crippling aspects of homelessness. But, it can't be that. It has to be something else where there's a housing crisis. Okay, if there was a house for sale for $10,000, that person still would choose not to buy it.
Yeah.
So let's stop pretending.
They don't go into the homeless shelters at night because they can't go into the shelters if they're using.
Right. They have to be clean.
That's the answer. And the sadness is a portion of the population said, we need to help those people. Let's give them a little money. Let's give them a little food. Oh, you're allowing them to stay. They're basically killing themselves slowly, right? So you're watching someone commit suicide and half the people are handing them socks. It's like, what are you doing? Let's take them off the streets, force them to get clean if they want to be able to get back out. Because it's not, I don't want to be part of a society that watches people just murder themselves on the road.
Right.
That's not the humanity I like to live with.
This is worth repeating again because I think I've mentioned in the show in the past, but we had the person on that did this documentary, and I believe they had original ties to the Twin Cities. It wasn't a documentary, excuse me. It was an extended news piece out of Seattle, and the piece was called "Seattle is Dying," right? And it was basically talking about this very thing: why the crime is out of control, why the drug use has skyrocketed, why the homelessness is just out of control. And it was done by, I believe it was either an anchor or a reporter for a news outlet out of Seattle. But look it up. It's called Seattle is Dying. And it was just eye-opening. It was fascinating. And it was heartbreaking all at once. But it ended with an actual solution to a problem where they were going to convert certain empty, I can't remember if it was just commercial real estate buildings or whatnot, into drug addiction centers. And they were unable to get certain amounts of funding because of this, that, and the other thing. But I thought, these people came up with a solution for a problem that actually exists, for a problem that's plaguing a certain, a major city in this country, and they still met resistance. So watch that, and then you tell me that the government is actually here to help.
When you see people on the side of the road, Reavers, I'm a generous person. I think I'm a generous person. I'm just going to say it, right? I want people to live well. I want the best for everyone. When I see people on the side of the road begging and I see someone give them money, I think, oh, how dare you? It would be like someone saying to you, I'm an alcoholic drug user. Please give me more money. I would never give that person money. Right. If they said what they are, you'd be so rude and so mean to give a drug addict who's begging you for money for drugs. Why would you? I'm helping you die. Why would anybody do that? And I said I wanted to go to the Union Gospel Mission and give them some money where you get like a chip, right? And then you could go through, and when you saw someone standing on the corner, you could give them a chip to go down to the Union Gospel Mission and get showered and get someone to talk to them.
Something to eat,
and maybe some safety, and maybe someone to say, hey, let's get you off these drugs, to truly help people. Because I think they do that at the Union Gospel Mission. But giving them money to kill themselves faster doesn't seem right.
No.
And I don't know why people give. It's like when they are saying, I need help on their signs, they're saying, I need drugs. I need drugs. I need alcohol. I need drugs.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. It's a huge correlation, addicted to drugs, right? I'm sure there's people that are homeless that are just down on their luck. I get that. That's a different thing that we're talking about. But when people are begging for money to kill themselves, why would we give it to them on a street corner? Why do we allow them to stand on street corners? It's like, oh, that's not good. I'm going to throw this caveat. I might not be understanding this problem at all. If you have a better understanding of this problem, write and tell me, mike@garagelogic.com, because I've never stood on a corner and begged for drug money. I've never done that. I've never stood on the corner and begged for money that I could buy something for my kids to eat. I've never, thank God, had to do that, right? And I don't think a lot of other people do that in Minnesota. Some do, but I don't think it's all of the people. The vast majority, sadly, are drug addicts.
Well said.
I do know that I got another job to help people, Reavers. And I got a job at the zoo circumcising elephants. The pay isn't so great, but the tips are huge. The tips are huge.
Thank you, Michael.
You love that?
Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. It helps others find the show as well, and it really does help us out as well, and we truly do appreciate it. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. We'll talk to you again next time. Until then, cheers.
Reavers, you are the best.
Thank you.